Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today, weekend edition. Today is Saturday, May 23rd, and we're going to take a look at the last 2 days of market action and then on a weekly basis. And the stocks in focus today are solar stocks, Canadian Solar, First Solar, SolarCity, and I'm going to look at TAN, T-A-N, the ETF for solar. Okay, we'll start off here with the Dow Industrials, which was down almost 54 points on Friday, so a little bit of a pullback. We're still not below the 10-day moving average, but I still think we're in this fifth minor wave of a fifth intermediate wave of 5 waves up from March 2009 to September. The S&P 500 here, there's a little more detail, same wave count that we're talking about in here, and the S&P 500 was down 4.76 points. So you can see basically sideways action from Monday. Monday's close, 21.29. You know, we're down, we'll get to the weekly here in a minute, down about 3 or so. Tight trading range though, again, you know, tighter than here, which I talked about on the 15th. So again, we're getting really compressed trading action. You can see it on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ continues to go below this trend line and below that the belly of that wedge. The New York Composite, come back to that. New York Composite, similar type picture, just kind of hanging near the top, just kind of sideways since the 15th actually down slightly. Russell 2000, again, nothing is just closing below the 10. So you can't honestly say it's breaking down. I mean, it looks like we could get some continuation maybe, but I'm still looking as a possibility that we could be doing a little head and shoulders action here on the Russell 2000. All right, on a weekly basis on the Dow, look how compressed the week trading was. I mean, it's the most compressed since back here November 28th, and we're at the tail end of this wedge. All right, so I don't know. All I know is that compression leads to expansion. It just cycles back and forth, and so you can see it here on the S&P 500. You know, also very, very tight. 14.71 is the daily range, or the weekly range. 14.71, which is tighter than this one because this one's 16.59. And you come back here, and this was 11. So this was tighter. This was about 11 points. So again, we're basically saying, confirming that, you know, the tightest weekly range since November 28th. The NASDAQ, kind of, you know, just like what it was showing on the daily chart, we're getting a little bit of a 2-week little rally in here. Not super strong. It's just kind of slightly pushing up. Look for the New York Composite. There it is. And boy, look at, I mean, again, that little doji bar, very tight trading, that's for the entire week. You know, basically what? Down 30 points on the week. And the Russell 2000, there it is, the RUT weekly. You kind of like the NASDAQ in terms of the action that you're getting out of this. So, you know, big, strong move down we had on the week ending May 1. Now we're just a little bit of a pullback, and we'll see what we do coming off the top of this range. Does it continue to hold, or will it break down? So, all right, that's let's take a look at the indicators real quick. Okay, short-term trading index not showing us a whole lot more. The 10-day moving average is 1.04. We had a 1.18 reading on Friday, so it's just pushing sideways. And really, as we get into the VIX, CBOE market volatility indicator, it didn't do hardly anything, up 0.02 after that down move on Thursday. So I'm not really getting, it's hard to tell any kind of sign out of this thing right now. You know, the divergence, you know, it's not real clear. I mean, it's around 40. It never did get really oversold. Of course, it really hasn't done that at all here on the 10-day, on the 10-bar RSI. So, all right, the next one we're going to look at is the high-low. And come on, there we go. All right, so here's the high-low doing a similar type thing. I mean, just kind of pushing sideways on here, never confirming. I talked about this the other day, never confirming the push up. And we had 41 more new highs than new lows on a down day. So we're not rolling over yet, but sure not. It's not strong, in my opinion. It's just kind of, weak action. McClellan oscillator. So I want to go back to the New York Composite where I've got the McClellan oscillator sitting. And again, this is just, again, lower peaks that we're getting in here, and just slightly positive, slightly above the neutral line, 0 in here for the reading on Friday. Put to call ratio, the 10-day equity put to call ratio from the Chicago Board of Options Exchange is 0.62. Again, I always calculate a running 10-day reading of that, and that's what I'm looking for in terms of my measurement. All right, let's take a look at some of our ETFs. Start off here with the high yield bond fund. Okay, so boy, this is, you could almost, I started thinking we had a little bit of a head and shoulders consolidation type pattern coming down. It's like, okay, make this big move, and then you consolidate sideways with a little head and shoulders pattern. But you could also, as I was just looking at this, you could also make the case that we're doing some kind of symmetrical triangle action going on too. So we'll see which way it wants to break first. I'm going to lean to the downside, but really we've just been starting to push. I would have thought it would have broken right here. Now we're just pushing sideways, just tightening up. The next one we'll take a look at is TLT, 20-year Treasury Bond Fund. So we're getting a little bounce, a little bit of 2-day move, a couple closes above the 10. It's hard to tell that that's any kind of, there is some divergence going on in here, so we could be trying to put in a little bottom on TLT. The volume was really, really low, lowest volume in several weeks, probably about 3 weeks. And you can see the divergence on the RSI, there's divergence on the DI minus. There's divergence on the demand index. So we could be in for a little bit of a multi-day, couple-week pullback. We'll see what kind of continuation we get out of this, if any. Sometimes you get that divergence, and if a strong move, I mean, it's just, you never know if it's going to play out for sure or not. The next thing is the dollar index, US dollar. I now think that, I was thinking this might continue down, but I'm going to call this wave C and intermediate wave 4. And it looks like it bottomed right at the bottom of the fourth wave, at the low point of this fourth minor wave over here. So if this is the case, then I'm thinking that we've got a fifth wave, intermediate wave move up. We've got 1, 2, very strong, extended wave 3. Clearly this was the fourth wave, a triangle, so the extended wave 3. We've got the corrective action here for wave 4. I do think we've got a fifth wave coming up. The first benchmark would be here. That's my first target. And then my second target, depending on the wave count we see in this fifth wave, my second target is going to be up here. So we'll see if we exceed this, like around 101.5. And depending on the wave count and that type of thing, it may push as high as up here. But right now, this is the first target I've got on the dollar. So this assumes the dollar is going to start pushing higher again, which might mean that oil is going to start dropping again, because of what happened during this move. So we'll see if that plays out. So where is U.S. oil? There we go, United States oil, USO. All right, so it's, again, this has just been chopping sideways for several weeks too. It's had difficulty getting through this congestion area, and I had these resistance points, so not doing a whole heck of a lot of anything right now. And we'll see whether or not it rolls back over and pushes down and retests the lows or not. The next one is gold, silver, or Spider Gold Shares, GLD. Let's see, yesterday, just basically, down 0.09. So we've had a little pullback from the 18th, which was Monday. So here you get this little nice move we had the previous week, and then we get this pullback. You could make the case here that if this is a C wave and we're going up, that we want, might have like a 1 and some kind of a flat 2, and working then another 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 up. I mean, we'll see. That to make that play out, my expectation would then be that the next move is going to continue higher. Again, we'll see if that's what we get or not. The short term and intermediate term have turned higher on the moving averages. All right, that's it on those. On the market ETFs, let's take a look at the sector, what I call the sector ETFs. Let's take a look at the semiconductor sector. SMH, semiconductors, probably right in front of my face. There it is. Okay, now this has had a nice little push up, got above this previous high in here. Not super, strong, but and again, it looks like it's fighting now this high. Right in here. So it hasn't gone to a new high from this peak of March 2nd. So it's kind of hard to really tell what this thing is doing. Three-wave move here is definitely corrective action. This looked like a 5-wave. I don't have a big wave count on this. I probably need to look at that. We could just have some kind of like A, B, we could be doing some kind of corrective action and this be a B wave. This doesn't look strongly impulsive to me is why I'm saying that. And if that is a B wave, then my expectation for this to come back down and crack this, this trend line right there. The next one is the home builders. There we go. And the home builders, after a nice little rally peaking out on Tuesday, we got a little pullback. And again, not pushing to new highs. And the intermediate is below the 55. Again, kind of mixed signals on this thing. It's basically been chopping, sideways here since, again, what is this, March 2nd? No, February 24th. So I'm, again, hard to read anything on this other than, you start drawing trend lines and watching for this thing to see what it'll do. That would be one I'd draw in there right now. And let me back off and see if I can see anything. No, it's... Now, again, I'm not trading this. I don't spend a ton of time analyzing it. I just kind of look to see if I'm getting any kind of reading on, what is it doing? Is it confirming new high moves with the market? That type of thing is what I'm doing with the home builders. I already have this open. I don't need to open up another one. And the financial, here we go, financial select sector. Now, this is another one that it looked like it was breaking out here, and it may be. It punched above this March high, which is nice. Kind of came up here and tested the previous highs of December, January. Actually, it was December. So it's kind of testing that, pulled back, and we'll see whether or not it continues to get action. We're definitely not rolling over, and heading down. We'll see whether or not this trend line continues to hold in here. Right now, the short term and the intermediate and the long term, actually all the moving averages are aligned to the high side. So you can't argue with that. I mean, it's like it is what it is. So, the trend is still pushing higher, at least slightly on the financials. And then the last one we're going to look at here, and then we'll get into the solar stocks, is the biotech, NASDAQ biotech. This one I thought was doing, if we go back, the 15th was last Friday, I thought we were doing like a little counter trend. Well, it continued to push on Monday and into the rest of the week. It's kind of pulled back up to this previous high here on April 23rd. I don't know. It's really hard to, the RSI, it's not gone any higher than what it did back here on April 23rd. It doesn't look super strong. The trend, the ADX is like 16. So again, there's no signal that there's any kind of strong trending action going on. We're just getting a little bit of this overlapping wave kind of corrective action. So, the real thing to watch for here is, we'll see, does it push above and get a close above this, or does it break down and kind of break through this trend line in here, similar to what we've looked at with several others of these, similar to what it did back here, right? And it sure did it pretty quick back on April 27th when it broke. And again, pretty compressed action. Of course, that's just mirroring what the market's doing. All right, let's take a look at TAN, T-A-N, Guggenheim Solar ETF. All right, so this solar ETF, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls on this one. I'm a little skeptical because this hasn't really pushed above this point very strongly, and this is all the reading I've got on it from, what is this? April 2008. So you can see how the solar stocks have just, plunged, corrected, rolled over, plunged again, and corrected. Now, I'm going with the assumption that this is a potential bottom, and that this is moving up. I'd feel better about it if it had gone above this point much stronger than what it did. Now, it did a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and lean that way. So I'm counting this as the first primary wave up, and then the first corrective wave 2 here. And therefore, I'm looking at and saying that we've gotten a first intermediate wave up here, and then we're doing some kind of corrective action back, an A, B, C. And so this is what I'm watching. We'll see if we get back this far. Pretty big downdraft on TAN on the 20th, which was Wednesday. So pretty big break in there. And typically, if we look at what are we looking back in terms of retracement here of this entire move. Okay, you've retraced 38%, and depending on, if this is wave 1 of a 5-wave sequence, a lot of times the wave 2 will correct, all the way down to 50 to 61.8%. And again, there's no guarantee. There's no rule that says it has to correct 50. There's no rule that says it has to stop at 61.8. So you just have to watch the wave count and the corrective action that you're getting. That's all you can do. All right, so that's what's going on with TAN. So let's go ahead and zoom in then and take a look at Canadian Solar. Now, Canadian Solar is kind of mirroring TAN naturally because, and I'm not sure all of the stocks that are in TAN. I'm not sitting here studying solar stocks and only trade solar stocks. So, but the way this is working out and the way it looks is it's similar in terms of the move that we had a corrective move, and now we have, I think, 5 waves up in here, trying to break this this downtrend line here that basically contains all of the corrective action. And so I'm counting this as wave 1, and therefore we're getting wave 2 pullback. And again, we're back into that situation of how far is it going to pull back. And again, we just have to watch wave counts. We've got, pretty sharp little downdraft that occurred in here. We're getting divergence. Divergence on the demand index. Not so strong on DI plus, but look at this on the RSI. Since the wave 3 basically hasn't confirmed this kind of push that's occurred since right here in early March. So all of this was not confirmed by the RSI in terms of its push, and now we're correcting. So again, we'll just have to watch the wave count and see where it comes down. Does it come down here to 30 at the 233-day moving average? We'll just have to see if it goes that far or not. The next one is First Solar. Now, First Solar is a lot, I think it started correcting a lot earlier. Let's put it that way. And on a short-term basis, you've got the intermediate trend down and the short-term trend down in terms of the moving averages. 21's below the 55 and the 10's below the 21. Here's the 233 day, okay, and it's trending down. And that's because, let's look at all the trading here. Again, this move up from the bottom, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that maybe it's 5 waves and we're doing some kind of corrective action, bigger type corrective action. My concern is it did not come up and get above this low point here. So you could still make the case you're doing a 1 and some kind of 2 and strong 3 down. I mean, you could even almost make the case that maybe 2 went here out to here in a complex corrective sideways action, and then you got 3 down, and then this is 4, and you're getting ready to roll over for another 1 down again. But right now, I'm going to assume this is the low down here at 11.43, and that we've got first wave up, and we're doing some kind of corrective action, although this is pretty messy. But it almost looks like A, B, and kind of a C down. So that would kind of put it in this category of this being a first wave up again. And I haven't marked it yet. I just wanted to focus on what's happening here on a short-term basis with First Solar is you've got this short-term little trend line in here. Okay, so the trend is still down, and it's sure not acting very bullish at all. But what's happening is support is coming in at the top of this gap. Okay, so you got this big gap, so support's coming in. If this breaks down and you break through this, you could fill this gap pretty quickly, which the top of that gap, or the bottom of that gap, is down here at basically about 50. You can say 49.98 to be exact. So call it 50. I mean, it wouldn't take very much. You could do this in a day. It's just because there's nothing there. It's a vacuum. And it's interesting how part of that vacuum overlaps part of this vacuum back over here. So that even amplifies the fact that you could move down through there pretty quickly if it breaks down below 54.5. All right, so that's First Solar. And then the last one we're going to take a look at is SolarCity. And SolarCity has been in a nice move, and this is a little confusing me because, again, I was looking for the similar type thing with the solar stocks here, that we had a primary wave 1 up and looking for in this case, it was a lot more complex. I was looking for a WXY because you get this ABC and you get an X move and you're looking for another ABC or some kind of corrective action like that. And you get this overlapping in here. I was really thinking I was going to get one more move down to the bottom of the channel, and then we get this push up like this. So I'm honestly not sure what's going on from an Elliott wave standpoint. But when I look at this trend that's coming up here, pretty nice little trend that it's pushing up and pushing higher. We are getting some divergence. I mean, it's not confirming on DI plus, and it's not confirming on demand index, and it's not confirming on RSI. And then, you break that trend line. You break the trend line. Now it's pulled back the last 2 days. Let me take a look at the volume. Yeah, I mean, the last 4 days, we had 1 day that touched the 50-day average of it, but the last 4 days have been below it in here. So we'll see whether this is just a pullback to the trend line and it continues to roll down and roll over, or whether it's going to continue to push up. It's really hard to look at a wave. The wave count in here is not super clear. It almost looks like a 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5. It's again, I'd have to take a look at it, and sometimes it even looks better when you look at it on a weekly chart. But on a weekly chart, these last 2 weeks show up as tight little doji bars, confirming indecision and possibly a little top right in here. So we'll see. That's my take. We're just watching this. Again, the divergence on the indicators may be confirming that it's getting ready to pull back. And I do have a trade idea on this where I am in puts, where we got into it here at the close, I believe. The trade idea on this day, I believe. I have to go back and look exactly. I think that's what it was. All right, that's it for today. A lot of stuff to cover on a weekend edition. I will see. We've got the holiday schedule because of the holiday, so no trading on Monday. So my trade idea video will be back out on Monday afternoon, Monday evening, probably early Monday evening. And that will be the video for Monday, and then we'll do a one on Wednesday like we usually do. So that's going to be the schedule. So if you're watching this anywhere else besides my website, head on over to the website and check out the posts. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage, the free PDF I've got for you, the 5 essentials. So until next time, which will be Monday night, and I always say this, stay focused, follow your plan, trade without fear. There is no trading until then, but anyway, you know what I mean. All right, everyone have a great weekend. If you're in the United States and Canada, have a great, nice, long weekend. And everyone else around the world, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.